So I am drinking Amora. It is a collab between The Seed and Melissa's Wings. So there's a beer trader on Instagram. I think he goes by the name Yankee Runner 77. And he has a charity. Melissa's Wings is for his mom who passed away. And all of the proceeds from the beer go straight towards the charity. So did want to drink this. My goal was to drink it and share it with all of you guys, but obviously right now, not the best time for that. We can't do that. But it's an oak fermented and matured saison with blackberries and chamomile, 4.6%. It was nice and light. I really enjoyed it. It's nice and refreshing, very bubbly. So I'll give you a little, it's hard to see with the lights behind me, but it was great. I really enjoyed that. It was nice. It's a nice way to wind down after a weekend of drinking stouts and heavy IPAs.
Is there a link to the charity?
Yeah, I can send that over and we can include that in the notes.
All right, cool. Well, in that case, I'll leave that link down below in the YouTube description and roll the intro. Welcome to Fantasy Beer League. You get half-decent advice from half-decent guys. I'm your producer and host this week, Vince Verico, filling in for Sean Joyce. With me, as always, is Ice 9 Kills superfan Justin Giel.
Hello.
And our resident fantasy football expert, Matt Sene.
Yo.
So Danny, this is this week's punishment, but unfortunately he is unable to be here because we're doing this on Zoom. The reason why we're doing this on Zoom this week is because over the weekend, both Shawn and Velzy caught the big old covy wovy. So we're deciding to be safe, stay home, and do this from our own homes. So what we'll be doing next week is doing a double punishment. We're punishing Daniel also along with whoever gets punished this week. And we'll be finding out who is going to be the big winner of our league. That's going to be a match between Matt Montgomery and Justin. And we're also going to find out who the big loser of our league is. That's going to be between Sene and Danny. So with that being said, Justin, can you please read the fines that were accrued last week?
Sure. So Sean owes $2. He called Craig Reynolds Craig Robinson. And I owe $2 because I once again cleared my throat during the Bills and Patriots recap.
It never fails, does it?
Also, real quick, I think it would be hilarious if Danny gets punished again next week. So it would be 2 punishments in one episode and then the final punishment.
That'd be awful that'd be awful if it was like 2 things he had to eat or drink.
Yeah. Eggnog and like that smoothie.
Oh, that'd be so bad.
Oh my God.
Sene, can you read the poll results, please?
Sure. Is Dominic the Donkey the most annoying Christmas song you can think of? 63% yes, 38% no.
63% are correct.
Yes.
Did Saquon have the best 6-yard catch you've ever seen? Just under 3 out of 4 say yes.
Okay.
Are you starting any Lions if Jared Goff is out? 15% yes to 85% no.
Okay.
Is Cooper Kupp the fantasy MVP? 77% yes to 23% no. Are you concerned about the Bucs offense this week? 22% yes to 78% no.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Yeah. Are you starting Chase Claypool this week? I did not. 23% said yes to 77% no. Would Vic Fangio love a 5-3 game? 56% yes to 44% no. And that is all of it.
All righty. Thanks for that, Sene. So we're moving right into the first game, the first 1 o'clock game. The Giants are bad at football. The Giants versus the Bears, as we've seen. Analysis there. Yeah, analysis. They are bad at football. I don't think they do very much well at all.
No.
If Saquon Barkley's 3.8 fantasy points didn't knock you off the playoffs last week, Justin, would you be starting him this week?
I don't feel confident in starting him. I mean, even being the lone bright spot on that offense, he's still been, for all intents and purposes, brutal this entire season. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think if it's something where you put him in your lineup and you pray that he goes off, I think that's one thing. Sene, I believe you have him in this league.
Yep.
I think plug him in and pray. That's
Yeah,
really the
it's
best
kinda how I
advice I
feel.
can give.
Kind of how I feel right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, the Giants can't keep themselves on the field. That's a
Yeah.
big part of why he's not playing very well. The defense is tired and they're just getting scored on so much. So, yeah, I don't think Mike Glennon is going to be leading that offense very far at all. But on the other side of the ball, how high are your expectations for our friend David Montgomery this week?
I think the ceiling is the roof with David Montgomery this week. I think the Giants can't stop anything. Like to your point, Vince, their defense is always on the field. And I think they're going to get tired out, and Montgomery's going to put up a lot of points.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Like I said, the offense is never on the field for the Giants. The Giants defense allow the 7th most fantasy points per game to running backs. So I have Montgomery as a top 5 running back this week. I'm going to take the Bears to win 20-10.
Yeah, I'm going Bears as well.
Yep, me too.
All righty. Well, our next game is Falcons at the Bills. With back-to-back performances under 10 fantasy points, do you expect Cordero Patterson to have a bounce-back week this week, Justin?
I don't think so. The Bills have a pretty stingy defense, and I think this is going to be a week. They're fighting to get into the playoffs. They want I think the first round bye is still in reach for them. So I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders, on both sides of the ball. And Patterson, I mean, I think this could be a week where maybe we see some pass catching production from him, but in terms of rushing, I mean, he's never really been more than like a 15 carry kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you play him, temper your expectations, because I think this could be another week under 10 fantasy points.
Yeah, the Bills, like you said, are one of the stingiest defenses in the league. I would put Cordell Patterson as a risky RB2, maybe a flex option for this week. But on the other side of the ball, let me ask Cindy a question real quick. For a chance to ice one of us next week, and you don't have to choose who it is right now, you can wait till next week to choose. Name the Bills' starting running back.
Oh my God, I know this. I'm so mad. Is it Singletary?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
I already got one.
You knew that. Awesome.
With 3 straight weeks of productive fantasy outings, does Devin Singletary deserve to be in consideration this week, Justin?
I think so. I mean, it seems like the Bills, in my eyes, have found a more well-rounded offensive attack. And the Falcons are not good at football on defense.
Analysis.
They can't stop anything, whether it's through the run or on the ground or through the air. So I like Singletary this week. I don't know that I'd put him in an RB2. If I do, maybe a low end, but definitely a flex option. If he's still out there, if you're trying to win a championship, pick him up and play him.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's worth the ad, maybe the play. It could be the guy who could win you the championship this week. I'm going to take the Bills to win this one 40-19.
Yeah, I'm going Bills as well, and I don't know if it's going to be that close.
I lost Senny for a second. Did you?
I agree.
Okay, there he is.
I heard but then I didn't hear what came after that. So
technical difficulties. We knew we were going to have some of those this week. Yeah. All right, so the next 1:00 game, we got Chiefs at the Bengals. Tyreek Hill had a quiet game on Sunday, which was somewhat surprising given the fact that Travis Kelce had missed the game because of COVID. How concerning is this to you, Justin?
I don't think it's that concerning. I think a lot of it was game script. The Chiefs went up by a lot pretty early. So I think Tyreek Hill was kind of put on the back burner. Plus, he had also he wasn't practicing, so I'm thinking maybe conditioning could have been playing a part in that. They were just trying to limit him to a snap count, but I'm not concerned with it. I think this week, I think it can be a great matchup. So I think Hill's going to get back on track.
Yeah, I think so too. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to come out firing. He's their lead wide receiver. So I don't think I have a lot of concerns for him going forward in this final week of the fantasy playoffs. On the other side of the ball, do you expect Joe Burrow to have and his red hot weapons to stay hot against the talented KC defense?
I do. Burrow looked great last week. I think it was the 4th or 5th most passing yards in a game of all time. That he had 525, I think it was. And this beer is very much carbonated, so it is giving me a lot of burps. But T. Higgins had a great game. I think he had 43 some odd points. But yeah, I mean, I think this game can turn into a shootout. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping this one's going to be fun, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win it in a close game, 31-27.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chiefs as well. I want to say Bengals, but I'm at this point, I'm giving up on the Steelers. I don't think they're even getting a wild card. So I'm full send. I'd rather let the Bengals win the division than the Ravens.
I'm going to go Chiefs as well.
All righty. So now we have the Dolphins and the Titans. The score may not have been showing of what happened last week with the Dolphins at New Orleans, but the Dolphins defense was great against New Orleans. On the offensive side of the ball, though, are you starting anyone other than Jalen Waddle?
Maybe because Gesicki, if you have him, I feel as though you probably don't have another option. I don't know if there would be much better options still left available, depending on how deep your league is. And I apologize for all of the hyping up that I have given Myles Gaskin. He has been brutal for the entire season. So Waddle and Gesicki are the only ones that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I agree. I was playing against who's the other guy on the team? Devontae Parker last night, and I was for sure thought he was going to catch at least a couple balls and beat me, but he had a big old goose egg. Yeah. So, that I wouldn't be putting any trust in him. AJ Brown was phenomenal in his return to play, but the running game was not all that we have grown to know. That's going to be money. It was not all we had grown accustomed to seeing. Deonta Foreman narrowly led the backfield in touches and scored, but only finished with 17 yards. Can we trust him this week?
I don't think so. I really, going into this week, I think if that's not Derrick Henry in that backfield, there's really no one that I'm trusting, and AJ Brown's the only one on that offense that I like. I think Julio is out. This could be a fine. I don't know if he's hurt again or if he contracted COVID, but AJ Brown, if he's healthy, you're starting him.
Absolutely. I think in this game, the Dolphins had a nice run, but I'm going to tighten up 26-19.
Yeah, I think they got to stop this bullshit of winning games. So I'm going to go Titans as well.
All righty. Now we're moving on to the Raiders at the Colts. Josh Jacobs rumbled for 129 yards on 27 carries on Sunday. Do you expect another strong performance on this Sunday?
No. He still he's very touchdown dependent. He finished, I think he fumbled the ball as well. So 2 points away from him. He should add money to our pot. That's $2 for every time he fumbles the ball and doesn't score a touchdown. But I mean, and the Colts have a very good run defense. So I think, if you're starting Josh Jacobs, you need to temper expectations and be aware that if he doesn't score you a touchdown, you're likely not getting 10 points from him.
Yeah, I'll make sure to give him a call and let him know he owes our fantasy league $2.
Please do. Just send him a Venmo request.
But you're right on everything. He only had 11.4 fantasy points. He needs a touchdown to be valuable. The Colts allow the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs, so I would definitely temper expectations for that one. Originally I thought Carson Wentz was going to be out, but it's a possibility he's going to play. If he does end up not playing, Jonathan Taylor may just score 6 times against the Raiders' run defense. But is Michael Pittman Jr. startable?
Yes, I say yes. I think it's hard to just throw him on the bench. He's had a lot of ups and downs, but I think this is one of the weeks where the Colts they need to come out and they need to win a game. So I think they're going to do it. I think if Wentz is out, maybe I wouldn't start Michael Pittman Jr. I think all systems go for Jonathan Taylor regardless. If Wentz is in, I'm more comfortable starting Michael Pittman Jr.
I agree. The Raiders allow the 3rd fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So I think if Carson Wentz does play, that Michael Pittman Jr. might be a wide receiver 3, maybe a flex option. But they're the 3rd most to running back. So all systems go with Jonathan Taylor. I'm taking the Raiders 28-16.
I'm going to go Colts. Actually, I'll add a caveat to that. I'm going to go Colts if Wentz plays. I'm going to go Raiders if he doesn't.
Gotcha.
I need Jonathan Taylor to miraculously play terrible this week, so I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Then he needs to catch COVID on Saturday.
I'm going against him for the last place in one league and for the championship in another. So it's great.
Yeah, that would be a good one if he didn't play well.
Oof.
Now we have the game of the week, the Jags at the Patriots. With a season-ending injury to James Robinson, are you starting any Jags, Justin?
No. I was by the time the 1 o'clock game started this past week, I was heading up to. I think I had just gotten to the Boston, and I checked. I checked the fantasy app, and I was like, oh, he's already got 10 yards, and it was somewhat early in the game. I was like, cool, this is looking good. And then an hour goes by, he still has 10 yards, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I saw that he ruptured his Achilles. So no, I'm not in on anyone else on this team.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Sonny, can you name a Patriots running back?
Oh my God, I'm so mad because I feel like I went out of my way to remember this guy's name. I'm so pissed because I came in the last episode and I knew this guy's name. Wow, that's so funny. It's funnier that I don't know it, so it's fine.
We've dubbed Damien Harris. That's our other running back there.
Okay.
A touchdown dependent flex play. When he came through in a big way, managers this week with 3 tutties. Should he be started again this week, Justin?
I think so. I think I see him as a flex option. The Jaguars are a mess, and I feel like this is a game where the Patriots are going to need to go out and put up some points, and they really don't do that too well through the air. So I think it's going to be going through Harris. Maybe not 3 touchdowns again this week, but I really like him going into the final week.
Yeah, I agree. The Jaguars, like you said, are bad. And with me having him on my bench this past week with 28 points, it hurt my soul to see that. I think the Patriots win this one 34-13.
Yeah, I'm going past.
Yep, agreed.
All right, moving on to our next game, the Buccaneers at the Jets. This should be a absolute blowout.
Yep.
Tom Brady has been a bit disappointing in 2 consecutive games in a row, and maybe be without Mike Evans again this week. Do you still expect a bounce back performance?
I think so, and he has had an entire career beating up on the Jets, so I see that continuing this week. Looking at the schedule, seeing the Jets as the final week in the fantasy playoffs, I think is great. So, I mean, if you have any, I think this would have been a great week if Leonard Fournette was still healthy. I could have had him going. I would have been set. But I think we see a bounce back week from Tom Brady. I'm calling it 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. You heard it here first. On the other side of the ball, are you starting any Jets?
Michael Carter is the only one that I like. Really no one else. Stenny, your boy Zach Wilson finally got a nice long rushing touchdown this past week. But I still don't like him.
Yeah, Michael Carter, I think, would be a nice flex player, but it's a bad matchup against the tough Tampa Bay defense. So I would say temper expectations for sure. I'm going to take this one in the Bucs with a blowout, 41-7.
Yeah, I'm going Bucs.
Yeah, of course.
All righty. Moving on to the Eagles at Washington. The Eagles absolutely crushed the Giants, which is obviously no surprise here at any point anymore. The Giants are terrible. But is there any fantasy value outside of Jalen Hurts this week?
This week, yes. Overall, not much. Goddard and Devontae Smith have really been inconsistent, as has the Eagles passing game in general. With Sanders out, you have no idea who's getting the ball in that backfield. But I think of all the other skill players, Goddard's going to be my main choice.
Yeah, I agree. We've been talking, or you guys have been talking about it all season, how it's kind of hard to trust anyone in the backfield who's not Miles Sanders. You never show who's going to get the ball, who's going to have the hot hand. There's no consistency with Devonta Smith. Goddard sometimes, like 2 weeks ago, he was good. Last week, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But the Washington's defense sucks. So we could see decent numbers from any of them this week. It's just hard to pick who it's going to be. On the other side, are you starting Terry McLaurin this week, Justin?
No. He has been brutal. He is not putting up the numbers for where you've drafted him. I wasn't that big on him coming into the season. For a few weeks, he was making me eat my words, and now I'm starting to feel a little bit better about my distaste towards him.
Yeah, he hasn't eclipsed 10 points since week 11, so he has definitely been brutal. I would not be starting him with any confidence. I'm taking the Eagles to win this one 26-13.
I'm going to go to Washington. I think they're somehow going to be able to pull off an upset.
I hope so.
Me too.
All righty, moving on to our last 1 o'clock game here. We have the Rams at the Ravens with Darrell Henderson heading to IR and the excellent play of Sony Mitchell. Is Mitchell now a legitimate running back option in the championship week, Justin?
I think so. I picked him up last week, I think it was, and I kept him on my bench. I had better matchups, and he outperformed. Well, granted, James Robinson got hurt, but Sonny Michel outperformed a good amount of my team. So I like him, and especially the Ravens defense is banged up. I know their secondary is like no-namers that they picked up off the streets pretty much. But I really like Michel. He's going to get the volume when they're not giving it to Cooper Kupp. So I like him this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a good play. On the other side of the ball, I think Mark Andrews is the only must start on Baltimore.
Yep.
What should we expect of Lamar Jackson if he's able to play this week, though?
I would very much temper expectations. The Rams have a very good pass rush, and they're playing a lot better than they have past couple of weeks. So I think Jackson's going to be running for his life if he is able to get the start, and not in a good way.
All right. Well, yep. I think it's going to be the same thing. I think the Rams are going to win it 27-17.
Yeah, I'm going Rams.
I think we lost Senny for a second.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, there he is. All right. Now we can move on to our 4:00 games. We have the Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos running backs were held in check on Sunday against the Raiders. Are you starting Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon 3 this week, Justin?
I like both of them. It's a run-heavy offense. They don't do much through the air. And I think both of them can serve as a flex option. Melvin Gordon more so as a flex. I see Javonte Williams as kind of a low-end RB2, but I like both of them going this similar, not as much skill as Chubb and Kareem Hunt if everything is all in good and they're both healthy. But I see this backfield similar to that.
Yeah, like you said, they're a run-heavy offense, which also means boring. There's no high flying through the air.
Boring team to watch. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Somehow the Chargers lost to the Texans, but from a fantasy perspective, Justin Herbert was still decent, and backup running back Justin Jackson performed nicely. This week is a tougher matchup. How do you expect the offense to respond?
I think they're going to play better. It's hard to play worse than they did losing to the Texans. Not entirely the offense's fault, but I think we see a nice game from Herbert, and I think the stars are gonna show. I don't believe that Mike Williams is going to be able to play. When I was looking at it earlier, it looks like he's following the protocol for unvaccinated players, so will likely be out this upcoming week as well. But it looks like Eckler's coming back. I think he's going to have a decent game, and then Keenan Allen I think is going to shine as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to take the Chargers to win 24-16.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers as well.
Yeah, me too.
All righty. Moving on to the Texans and the 49ers. Senny, can you name a Texans running back?
Nope.
No. Nope. Well, with almost 150 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns and 28.9 fantasy points last week, should Rex Fuckhead be added to our starting lineup this week?
I still say no. I think he's one of those players where I feel like if you put him in your lineup, that's where he's going to be going Rex Dickhead, because he's going to put up like 6 points for you. And the 49ers, they don't have a bad defense, so I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him, especially now with this being the championship week or a week where you're going against a punishment. You want to start people that could win you the game, and I don't know that Rex Burkhead's going to be the person that can win you a game.
No, I agree completely. Every time I see him with like large numbers, he's always on waivers because no one ever picks him up, because no one can ever predict when he's going to go off and do something dickheadish.
Yes, exactly. He's pretty much a fullback.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he is. Jimmy G is out for the Niners. What do you expectations for this offense with Trey Lance under center?
I think all the pass catchers take a big hit. Trey Lance plays very similar to Lamar Jackson, where his first option is to run the ball. And in the games this year where Trey Lance has got the start, the pass catchers saw little production. So lower expectations for your pass catchers. And I think somehow, some way, that's $2 for me. I just cleared my throat there. I think somehow, some way, Deebo Samuel is going to end up getting more carries coming into this week than he has in the past.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jimmy G out that it's going to be more on the ground. It's not going to be as much throwing, and even if it is, it's not going to be great throwing. So, even though with all that said, I don't think that the Niners can lose to the Texans. So I'm going to take them 23-13.
Yeah, I'm going Niners as well.
Yep, me too.
All right, next we have Cardinals at the Cowboys. The Cardinals offense has struggled lately, but Kyler Murray and perhaps Zach Ertz are still must starts on this team. If James Conner returns from injury, what do you expect to see from him?
I see him as a flex option. I think Edmonds coming into this year, I think Edmonds was my preferred choice. And I think he was the number one back. I still see that. And he looked great this past week. He's a pass catcher and he can get it done on the ground as well. The Cowboys defense has looked better, but I still think Edmonds is going to be able to produce. Connor, I think, is going to be that guy that's going to get the goal line work if he's able to come back. So that would play him nicely in a flex consideration. But yeah, Edmonds is still my preferred option.
Yeah, I think so too. Edmonds had a great game with him out. Connor still has the TD equity, but he's a risky flex play because we don't know how often they're going to get down to the red zone and be on the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line. I think Edmonds is the safer play here, especially in the week where you definitely need someone who's going to put up more points than someone else because you got to win. The Cowboys have been on fire on both sides of the ball. Are you convinced that Dak and by proxy his weapons have turned the corner?
It's hard to say. I think the potential, as we've seen throughout the year, the potential has been there all season. There's been games where CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper have gone off as a result of Dak playing well. There's been weeks where their defense has won them the game. So I think it's encouraging to see. They're going to be playing a much tougher team going into this week, and a much tougher defense, and Washington's really bad. So I think take that with a grain of salt, but you're not benching your starters, especially now. I think you have to fire all of them up.
Yeah, one good game against a shitty team. You know, still starting them, not expecting week 16 numbers, but I definitely think that they're worth starting. I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this one 24-21.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys as well. I don't think the Cardinals are the same team that we saw earlier in the year.
No.
Yeah, this is probably the first time I'm not going to consciously start James Conner because it's just too crucial of a game for me.
Yep.
This first time I'm also going to pick against the Cardinals. I think Cowboys are going to put up big numbers. I need it from Dak, so going with Dallas.
All right, on to the next game. We have the Saints and the Panthers. Are you starting any Panthers this week, Justin?
I'm going to start DJ Moore just because I feel like I have to at this point. I don't know that there's anybody else on this offense that I'm starting. I'm staying away from all the quarterbacks because they seem to be using 3 of them now.
Yep.
And you never know who's going to have the hot hand, but Moore gets enough volume where I'm comfortable starting him.
Yep, I agree. The rotating quarterback thing is puzzling. It's weird that they're starting 3 different ones, and it makes it impossible for fantasy managers to start any of them. Yep. It's a total shit show there. And without Christian McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard has not been great. No. So I don't think it's worth starting anybody. And just to preface this one, I'm not gonna say it is for me because it's what Sean wrote, and I think it's hilarious. He just said, "Fuck the Saints." That's all I'm writing. So I think that's amazing. Panthers win this game 69-0. Fuck the Saints.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Panthers as well. I think Kamara still scores a touchdown. So maybe we can go 69-6, but I'm still going Panthers.
Yep, fuck the Saints.
That's right. Next, we have the Lions at the Seahawks. If DeAndre Swift is cleared to play this week, are you starting him, Justin?
I think so. I feel like it's worth the shot going into this week. Unless you have a dead set better option, I would start Swift. I think this game could be close, so he could get a lot of rushing work. But if the Seahawks end up pulling away, that's great timing for DeAndre Swift. He loves those dump-off passes where he can turn a 2-yard pass into a 20-yard gain. So I would start him if he's cleared to play and you don't have a better option. If you do have a better option, maybe there's somebody that you picked up off of the waivers that's been serving nicely. But, yeah, if Swift's healthy, I like him.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about the receivers in Seattle endlessly at this point for the podcast, but
Yep.
with 135 rushing yards and a touchdown against the Bears, are you starting Rashad Penny this week?
I mean, he seems to be the guy now. The Seahawks need a lot of work on this offense, and there's not much consistency here. But the Lions are a really bad team. So I think if there's 1 week, if for some reason you still need a running back, maybe you're in the boat where you had James Robinson, he's out for the rest of the year. You need to pick somebody up. I like picking up Penny and putting him in and seeing what happens. The Lions, like I said, really bad team. I think what better week than now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Lions are a bottom 10 rush defense. The passing in Seattle hasn't been great, so I think them keeping it on the ground will be the best for their team and best for anyone who has them. So I think the Seahawks are going to win this one 23-16.
I'm going to go Seahawks as well. I don't see the Lions winning.
Yep, me too. Seattle.
All righty, well, let's get into Sunday Night Football.
We've been waiting all day for Sunday night.
Senny, what have you been waiting all night to talk about?
I'm waiting all night to talk about COVID.
Oh, okay.
So this is tough. I didn't know I want to talk about this or not, but we've obviously been hearing for years now about how long we were going to be dealing with this virus, and I don't want to say anything more than what everyone's been saying forever, but we thought this was going to be a couple weeks. Then I remember, we're in the spring, and my dad's telling me, "Oh yeah, we're going to be like this till Christmas." I thought he was nuts. So here we are, almost 2 years later, and from what it seems like it's worse than ever. And obviously not in terms of death, but just in terms of it's not going away. I mean, obviously, my best friend just got COVID and his roommate, and, we thought they were going to be in the clear, so it's tough because, you see it happening to other people all the time and you think, oh, well, my circle has been pretty clear. And then you find that out. Literally 6 minutes before we started this episode, my father called me to tell me that he has COVID. So I was and he's telling me, he's like, I'm fine. It's not, I should be okay. The doctor says I'm okay. But he told me he spent 7 hours today in urgent care, I guess, just trying to wait to get tested.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 hours, man, that's insane. I mean, it just sounds like, we've been talking for months now that if we don't get it under control, is it ever going to end? And I got to be honest, I'm starting to be of this mindset that it's never going to go away. And it's obviously tough because, some of us have jobs where, we got to wear a mask every single day. So me trying to wrap my head around, am I going to have to wear a mask every day for the rest of my, career? It's pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never, ever acted like I'm the guy who reads the news stories or is really that well educated. So I'd love to get your guys' opinions on this, but just from my minimal knowledge, I mean, I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah. So. Unfortunately, I'd agree. I at least for a little while, I don't see it going anywhere. But my mindset about it is I feel as though it's going to be something that we might just have to live with. It's something that get vaccinated, get your boosters, get your booster every year, similar to the flu. The flu there's the flu shots. You can still get the flu with the flu shots. Senny, to your point, I'm not the most educated on the whole COVID and just the modern medicine thing, but just take the precautions. And even with taking the precautions, you can still get it. I know we mentioned Shawn has it, Velzy has it. They're the two closest people that I know of that have contracted COVID. I've gotten tested and everything and come back negative. So I'm thankful for that, but it's just being safe and just taking any precautions there. But I thought for a little while there was an end in sight. And then with these new variants and everything coming out and just, this is the third or fourth different, the Omicron variant is third or fourth different variant. So I really don't know what to believe. And it's you really can't get a clear answer because all of the news stories are different. Some of them are like, oh, like this is one side of the argument. Here's the other side of the argument. Here's kind of in the middle. So I really don't know what exactly to believe. And I mean, it stinks.
And I guess what's intimidating is like, you you want to get like this booster shot because it's what everyone says you should do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my wife about it today, should we do this? And then, just after you get on the phone with my dad, I told her make appointments. She made an appointment for me to go get a booster shot while we were on this call. So I'm just like, but from that perspective, you almost wonder, like, that you have to do that, but that doesn't even like guarantee anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get the shot and it helps give you some peace of mind, but nowadays I don't know that it does. And I guess that's scary. That's all. So
yeah, it's definitely scary because like in our lives, we've had, we had Shawn and Velzy get it. Both my brothers got it. My buddy Steve got it all in the span of a week.
Yeah.
And with this new variant coming out, it's highly infectious. It may come on a little faster and it goes away a little faster, but I don't think we're going to be not wearing masks when we go into places until at least like 2024. Like, I think it's going to be a couple more years until we figure out a vaccine that can adamantly fight this thing and keep it down to not being spread so easily. It's going to be a lot of wearing masks, taking our vaccines, taking our boosters, and staying away from other people. I think that's the way it's going to be. I think the only country that's effectively quote unquote beat it was New Zealand, because since the beginning, they've only had just over 16,000 cases and like a total of like 40 deaths total in 2 years.
Yeah. And they completely like shut down the entire
everything.
Country. They said nothing, no one's coming in, no one's going out. They pretty much eradicated it, and they were having full concerts and everything. So, I mean, good on them. We're too stubborn of a country to be able to pull that off here. But
No
Vince,
way.
to your point regarding like wearing the mask. So when I've gone to like places in Jersey and PA, would go in, if they weren't requiring the mask, I would keep my mask in my pocket, walk in without one. Was up in Boston this past weekend. There were a lot of places that were mandating it, but I had that mask on me anytime I went in, was washing my hands. My knuckles are pretty much all cut up now from washing my hands and using hand sanitizer for them drying out. So I feel like the precautions that I'm taking now are kind of back to when the pandemic was first starting, but I'm fully vaccinated, received my booster, and still doing this. So I think if our listeners out there, if there's anything you take away from it, just be safe. That's really the best advice that I have, is follow proper guidance and just be safe for yourself and then your loved ones as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that we got to be safe no matter what. And segueing into the next part here, a guy who was not safe was Dalvin Cook, but he is expected to return from COVID this week. Adam Thielen returned from ankle injury, and the only way to re-aggravate it after 23 snaps. So if he's forced to miss this game, how high are your expectations for KJ Osborne, Justin?
My expectations aren't that high, but I say that because I feel like he can exceed them. With that, I feel like he would be a good fill-in. I see him as a nice flex play. Obviously, he's no Adam Thielen. Thielen seems to be a touchdown machine when it gets down into the red zone. But I see Osborne putting up a decent stat line. And I think they're going to have to throw to catch up with the Packers. I feel like the Packers are going to come out swinging, and they're looking for that first round bye. There's only one now this year, so they're definitely going to try to fight for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the Packers, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I think, is coming back this week. He has a possibility to come back. And last time he played the Ravens, he torched them for 20.8 points when he played last time he played. Should he be considered this week against the Vikings?
I don't think so. The kind of support partners to Devontae Adams have kind of been a rotating door all season. Sometimes it's Lazard, and then when Valdes-Scantling is healthy, it's him. I think the only four people I like on the team would be Rodgers, Adams, Jones, and Dillon. Unless you're desperate and want to take the chance with Valdes-Scantling, I'm not advising picking him up and starting.
Yeah, he's a risky play. If you need a guy like that to give you that big boom week that could possibly happen to win the championship, maybe take the risk, but it's a tough call to make. I think I'm going to take the Packers this week, 31-25.
I'm going to say the Vikings. I think primetime Cousins actually shows up and gets a win.
Yep, I agree. I'm going with the Vikings.
All right. Well, with our last game of the week, our Monday night game. Is this Monday night game?
I believe it is.
I believe so. I think it can only have one Sunday night game. It's the Browns at your Steelers.
Joy.
Are you starting anyone other than Nick Chubb?
Not really. The couple times that Kareem Hunt's come back from being injured this year, he has not looked great in his first game back. And Baker Mayfield cannot hold on to the ball, so I do not trust any pass catchers on this team because I really don't think Baker's going to be able to get them the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nick Chubb's the only one you can start, and I think he's going to be great this week. With the Steelers, we have to start Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson, but what do you expect from them playing against the Browns this week?
I would like to say they're each going to go out and put up 25 plus points, but I really don't know. Najee Harris, I really like. I think he's a true workhorse back. So I'd see decent production from him, and Deontay Johnson is Ben's favorite target. But it really just depends on which Steelers team shows up to play. I think I like them more since this game is in Pittsburgh. I think if it was in Cleveland, I'd feel a little bit more uneasy with starting them. But fire them up, and I think they'll put up decent numbers this week.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win game for the Steelers. I think they're going to take this one 23-16.
Yeah, I'm picking the Steelers, but I'm not confident whatsoever.
All I think about is that first round last year, man.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of as well.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh, but I think it's going to be like a back and forth game. I think it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Fantasy Beer League. We'll be with you every Wednesday on YouTube with audio-only podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Fantasy Beer LG. Those are the words Fantasy Beer and the letters L and G. As always, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more half-decent advice from half-decent guys. I'm Vince Verrico. He's Justin Gill, and here's Matt Sunny with his advice of the week.
I know you don't want to hear this, but you should genuinely consider not doing anything on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Might be worth, playing it safe. And that's tough, but it might be the right move.
I think that's some very solid advice.
Yeah,
and
very sound advice.
Everyone out there, good luck in Championship Week 17.
Should I give a quick review of my beer? I forgot about that.
Yeah, Shawn mentioned that we didn't have like a Thirsty Thursday, so it was straightforward. So
Oh, was there no Thursday? I thought we just missed it.
No, there was no
wasn't one.
Thursday.
I didn't want to cut anyone off and tell them.